that. I don't see mine doing that.
What, a doorstop? What do you say? Door?
I'm just saying, I got technical glitches.
I rock.
Didn't those phones blow up on airliners for a little while? They weren't even allowed to be brought on. There was no FAA regulation. You can't have it was.
They were blowing people's minds.
Oh,
it was a mind.
I misread that story. Totally misread that story. I didn't catch up. I should have read not the headline. I should have read the whole story.
Exactly.
They got me with that clickbait.
They did. That's all it is. It's all clickbait. It's just life is clickbait, man.
This
you know that.
True. This is
shit,
true.
dude.
Yep.
All right, so the people watching, I appreciate you guys. Hello, everybody. I can't. The phone's too far away for me to read those.
My boy Jeffro right there.
Hey,
he's a bad motherfucker right there.
See, gotta get it, man.
Dude, he's a bad motherfucker. He came up to visit. He's a world champion no-gi guy. He's a brown belt. He teaches with sheepdog response and all that. He's fucking legit. He's a cool dude too. Cool dude. Anyway, when he comes down, we're gonna bring him up here. Yeah, give him a thumbs up. We'll get him on here, man. He's a cool dude.
And I'm working my ass off to rehab my shoulder.
Yeah.
And keep my back loose, so we're gonna go play.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I can't fucking wait.
Talked to Brian for a little while, so I was like,
did you?
Yeah.
That's good, man. That's good. Brian will motivate you. He'll get you one to come out there and train. We're all good guys. Ain't nobody gonna torque you. Just stay away from the white belts. We got a couple Division I athletes that are white belts. Stay away from those guys.
I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the deal. What did you just learn about your black belt? At any point in time,
so
anywhere?
You know what's funny is I just learned. Well, oh man, I don't know. I without being too serious, it blew my mind. There was so much I didn't think about till I actually received it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then I had all these last couple of days to actually comprehend what this actually means. And it's scary. Like it kind of it's basically like being a white belt. When I'm receiving this,
yes.
I feel like I am now a white belt in the black belt world.
Yes.
If that makes sense, which is what I am.
Yeah.
Which is what that is. And so suddenly I literally feel like it's my first day training jiu-jitsu again. Like I feel like today's gonna be my first day training jiu-jitsu again.
Your individual expectation for yourself is going to change permanently.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone around you's expectation of you has now changed.
Yeah.
Because now you've passed a threshold because there's markers. And I know there's in every system there's even rank advancements within the black belt and so on and so forth. I get all that, obviously, from my deal. And all the arts have it. But there is no pinnacle. Until you get the black belt, there's a ceiling. The black belt is the ceiling. Now you've crossed that threshold. There's no end.
Yeah.
You will never be perfect.
So crazy.
And that sucks.
I feel so far from perfect as it is.
Well,
but I feel even less. Like I feel less than I was before I got the black belt. Does that make sense?
That 30-minute window.
I feel like that little moment. I as a brown belt, I felt super competent. Very confident in my skills and where I was at. I felt good about everything. Now they got the black belt. I feel like I'm less. Like I'm worse off. Not worse off, but my skill level or something. I can't explain. It's hard. It's very hard to put into words. I still have not absorbed everything that this means yet. My mind is still comprehending things, but it's like things are coming to me. Yeah. Like, oh my God. Like this is crazy. This is a crazy thing.
Dude, it's a cool deal. I'm gonna share this with you. The first thing outside of congratulations that I was told after receiving my first belt, right? And so outside of that, the first thing that was told to me by my grandmaster was you no longer have peers. You are the leader.
Yeah. It's true.
That's it. You know, and jiu-jitsu, you're called professor for something. You know, you're called a master in other ones. You're called, depending on the art, you're called something.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just taking single arts because obviously, you know, I've studied multiple arts and a lot of people do. And that's a whole different kind of weird thing because even when you enter another art and you're a black belt, a professor, a master, and so on and so forth from other arts, you're not really a white belt. Does that make sense? You still have a ton to learn, but you're not really. So it's you're always at that level.
Right.
And so that was the one thing that, and it hit me because I was younger and the whole thing going on. And it was like, okay, yeah. Like no longer are people looking at you as being a peer to roll with and to kind of learn from these things. They're not your peers anymore.
Yeah.
It's a different situation.
It's a cool this deal. Is what I promise, and I promised everybody. I promise that it will not change me whatsoever. I will be the same guy I was before. I promise I won't act any weirder or more different. I won't do anything kind of strange. Shit. I was just looking for something.
You looking for a little something.
Anyway. Is that awkward? Is that weird?
No, I love it, man.
We're not supposed to do that.
Not really, but who cares?
Not breaking protocol.
We're in America. It doesn't matter.
That's
it's
right.
All
the Brazilians are freaking out, right? Like, this is disrespectful.
But so I mean, and obviously I told you this message, but I'm proud as hell of you for it. And I've only known you for a small window of time, but I've been there. I've gone through it. I don't know with Brian Systems what you had to go through right before the ceremony. I know traditionally what I had to go through.
Yeah. Well, jiu-jitsu is so different in that aspect from traditional martial arts. Some schools still do like a little testing. Mostly I was just getting my ass kicked a little harder than normal. But really, you're there. Like for jiu-jitsu, for me it was 11 years, and everybody it's a different amount of time. Some guys are a lot faster, some guys are longer. It's just I was kind of average in the amount of time it took me. But that was with like super consistent training too. Yeah. But it was just a lot of like this last week. It was a lot of extra love on the mat from Brian. And I was glad he wasn't in the mood to roll with me Saturday, thank God, because I got enough of it from a couple of the other guys that I was like, okay.
And you will,
Yeah,
you're gonna.
I don't mind that. It's an honor. It's a privilege to get my ass handed to me by guys, if that makes any sense. I'm sure I know you get it.
Anyone in it gets it. If you're not in it, you have a good chance of understanding that, but you just have to adjust your perspective a little bit. That was a cool deal, man.
It was fucking awesome.
That was a cool deal.
It was pretty amazing.
And so now, obviously, because you guys were facing behind us, I have all the audio. Like I recorded you with your speech and all. So
did you really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I just forgot to upload
it. I didn't even know what I said. I can't even remember half the shit I said. Because it was like you get put on the spot. I know it's coming, but at the same time, it's everything is very emotional and overwhelming at the moment. So it's hard to formulate everything you're feeling and thinking, and not trying to go into. I don't want to go into a long, drawn out fucking speech. People don't want to listen to me for fucking ever. You know know what I'm saying? I want to just kind of make a concise point and then move on, so we can all enjoy the rest of the day.
But you're
emotional. You want to get some of that emotion. I'm glad you recorded. I did, because I was like, man, I wonder if anybody recorded it, because I don't even really remember what I said.
Yeah,
because I was asking Lisa. I said, did I sound like an idiot? She goes, no, it was pretty good. You droned on for a second about Ronnie, and then you kind of got back to the point. And I was like, oh, okay.
No, it was quick. I mean,
I try to make it concise.
Maybe at the max.
Good.
Yeah, it was.
Well,
quick.
I didn't like.
No, it wasn't.
Like I'm on a podcast. So
no, it wasn't long form podcast. But it was, it was cool. So it's like, for people watching, and so again, I'm gonna use mine in this, and so I saw you because I was sweating, I was getting emotional because remembering back,
memories, right?
And that I remember same thing, Grandmaster pulling the belt off of me and putting the other one and kind of looping it through, and that last little,
they make it tight.
It was just like, dude, you want to cry?
Yeah,
you know what I'm
saying?
Like, why are you making me cry? We just tying a little knot, man, on this shit.
And I didn't. It was funny, like. I didn't even really think that much. I knew it was coming because Brian had told me, "Hey, this one I want to give you your black belt." Because it was actually like the December before there was a possibility, and then he decided we're gonna wait 6 more months. Yeah. Which I ain't gonna lie, at the time it kind of hurt a little bit, but he was right. Like now I said, you're 100% right. Like, I needed that extra 6 months. Yeah. And as silly as it sounds, after 11 years, what's 6 more months? But I really did need that 6 months, honestly.
It's big when you're that close.
Yeah.
A month is big.
That little extra maturity I needed it. And so I knew it was coming, but I wasn't thinking that much about it. And I really hadn't even thought about black belt since I was a blue belt. Like I think at some point after you start, after about a couple of years, you stop thinking about it. Like it's not part of the thought process. Yeah. It's so far off you don't even think about it. You're just so involved with getting better and training and making friends and enjoying everything. You're not thinking about it. But then the week before, Sunday or Monday, I remember I was just like, holy shit. That's Saturday.
This is about to happen.
Saturday, I'm getting my black belt. Yeah. And then I just suddenly started getting nervous. Like, I felt weird. Like, why am I nervous? Like, this is jiu-jitsu. I've been doing this forever. I've known this was coming, why am I suddenly nervous? You know, and Brian would say things in class, you know, announce it out. And man, suddenly I just felt like all the nerves and like, oh my God, like, what's this going to be like? What's it going to feel like? And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was amazing. It was like literally, like, I don't know how to put it to people. Some people don't understand. People who train and do martial arts, they can understand. Yeah. If you don't, it's so hard to put it into perspective. But
it is the equivalent. Some brainy people are gonna get pissed at me for saying this, but luckily I cross both worlds, so they can kiss my ass. It is the equivalent of being awarded your PhD.
Yeah,
it is. It's the same effort. It's the same time. It's the same skill level. It is the same thing, and people don't get that. It's like, oh, there's tons of black belts. There's tons of black belts. Yes, there are a lot of black belts, but there's not a lot of black belts.
Yeah,
and I know you know what that means.
Yes.
And I love that Brian touched on that a little bit with some of the young ones and such.
Well, and like, it's true. And even in jiu-jitsu now, there's becoming more black belts because it's been around for a while now, and especially in America, and it's grown. But there's still like, I'm pretty sure like there's only 3% of people who start jiu-jitsu make it to black belt.
Yeah, it's very low.
Stat. Yeah. And that's insane. That's an insanely low number of people, and that's because of the time and the effort it requires. And you know, you do have to do some studying on your own. You do have to watch stuff. You do have to practice your techniques. You do have to learn, and you have to be able to. It just takes a long time. It gets fucking hard. You know.
Yeah.
It's so. Yeah, I've heard it's the equivalent of getting a doctorate, and I don't know if you say it, then it's legit because you have more than one doctorate. If I believe I'm correct. So you have you multiple doctorates. So for you to say that is a huge compliment, and it's makes it legit. And I've heard people say that, and I've always thought, well, that's more basically maybe because of the amount of time it takes. But it's
not just time though.
Yeah,
it's not just time.
It's because for to understand, it's not like I'm training once a week. Like I'm training 3, 4 times, 5 times a week for 11 years.
Well, and that's the whole thing. It's just kind of like saying, but you got to keep that also into perspective, and that's you were in official class a few times a week.
Yeah.
But you're training at the gym, you're training this, it's so much more than those.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. And thinking about it, studying it. Yeah. It's funny how it encapsulates and takes over your whole life, because it's suddenly what happens is you start working out, thinking about jiu-jitsu. Like, how's this going to help me working out? How's this going to help me on the mat?
You change your lifts.
Change everything.
You change how you lift because you're thinking about rolling.
Change
or you're
everything.
Lifting, and you pull differently. You do things differently.
You start thinking about how is this going to affect. How is this going to affect the way I roll? Is this going to be? You start looking up how to work out to make jiu-jitsu effective. I guess we need to turn to.
Did you Google that? Don't tell me you Googled. Did you actually Google?
Oh, I've Googled everything.
Oh,
I promise you, I've Googled all that shit.
Okay, everybody, just a quick second here. We're gonna stop the video and jump over youtube.com/jasoncpowell. Easy.
What do you say?
Thank you guys.
Okay, damn it. How do I stop this now? I forgot. Here.
Yeah, no.
There should be a stop button.
Top right. It's just clear.
Oh, there it is. I'm an idiot. And my video. Saved.
Got it.
Share. All right. Why am I still having trouble with that?
Well, because like when I went there, it's like if it's clear up top, you don't see the end disappear.
I'm still not used to this iPhone X. I'm still freaking me out. Like it took me, I kid you not, it took me a solid 2 weeks. The iPhone X took me a solid 2 weeks before I knew how to turn on the flashlight.
Really?
I didn't.
Did they like show where things were?
I was like, how the hell is this not? Like, you should just swipe up.
Okay.
And you can't swipe up on that because it does a different thing. Yeah. And I just never took the time. Finally, I Googled it. How the fuck? This can't be that hard. I Googled it. Top right corner. Okay. I feel stupid.
Well, if they change something little like that you used to, because that's, I mean, all the truth be told, I don't give a shit. iPhone, Samsung, this, whatever. They're all great phones, right?
Yeah,
and like with mine is, I've had the Samsungs for ages. And they'll do that every once in a while. They'll put something in a different fucking spot, and I'm like, did that make anything more efficient? Really?
I still don't know why they did it.
It's just one of those. I'm like, you fucking.
Because you could have kept it, but whatever. So for 2 weeks, I was just like, Fuck, I don't know.
You're like, no flashlight.
I don't have time to look this up. I want to do something. I got other shit to do right now. Trust me, I don't have.
You're saving.
I don't have time. Man, my life is crazy. So I'm literally like, I don't have time to look this up. I don't care. I'll figure something else out. I'll look it up later because I got a million things on my plate.
So officially, I mean, congrats. That was awesome.
Thank you so much. It means a lot. It's yeah. I still haven't comprehended the whole thing, but it's literally like. I think I posted something today, and one of my mentors, James Foster up in Seattle, he had made a comment on my first post about getting it, and I'll try only to post a couple more pics from that day, guys. I'm sorry, it's just very exciting. So I've posted. Trust me, I've been holding back, but he's like, he basically made the comment of welcome to now you get to start learning, and it's like this is the beginning of learning. And now you know how to learn, and it's true. And I felt like that all that grinding was just preparation to begin. And so it's like 11 years. Okay, now you're ready to start learning how to do jiu-jitsu. Is what it really feels like, which is weird to say because someone, maybe a layman or people who've only been training for a few years or a couple of years would think, well, you're a black belt now. Because this is what I thought when I started. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you. Let me give you a story. So I remember Marcelo Garcia. It was my very first seminar, and I've been training 6 months. So I didn't have a true appreciation for who Marcelo Garcia was yet. Right. I knew who he was. And I looked up highlights, and I knew this guy was incredible, but I didn't know. So that my instructor at the time, a guy named Eric Williams, who runs Elite Martial Arts off Westheimer, we're all in this class, and he's telling us, man, don't miss this seminar. This is probably at the time when I started training, he's the best grappler on the planet right now. You don't want to miss this. Yeah. So I was very excited. I went. And I remember watching Eric taking notes. And I was like, well, why is he taking notes? He's a fucking black belt. Doesn't he know everything? Doesn't he know all this stuff? That's literally what I thought. And little do I know now, no. I mean, you don't. You never know everything. It's impossible. And even Marcelo Garcia has to take notes, or at least mental notes, when he's learning from somebody else. Exactly. And as amazing and as knowledgeable he is, there's nobody with all the knowledge. Right. And yeah, now it makes perfect. Now I'm going to seminars, and I have friends who are black belts just because I've been doing it so long now. And we're all taking video, and then we're hitting each up later. Hey, did you get that video? Could you send it to me? Did you get that video? Did you send it to me? Because it's like, instead of writing notes now, we just have our phones. Yeah, it's easy. But gosh, shows how long I've been doing it. There was no recording on phones back then. It was notes if you wanted to, or you had to have a camera set up.
It's like a real camera. Yeah. Camera. Yeah.
So. Yeah,
it
is, that's what it means. And that's why I think I was trying to tell the guys when I did my little bitty 90-second speech it's like, hey, this is just next step. Like you still have to learn. It's still fucking hard. Yeah. Like just because I'm black belt now, don't think that I don't come in here and it's not fucking hard because it's still fucking
just
hard.
As hard. Yeah,
it's still fucking hard to do. And
I would say probably more difficult because of the expectation, because of the pressure, because you don't get to slough off. You're going to have bad days. Everybody in the world has bad days, but your bad days aren't quite as allowed as
you're not expected to have bad days, which is not fair. And I'll tell you what was funny was Saturday I got promoted Saturday. Sunday we have that huge open mat I've told you about before, where everybody from all over Houston comes, and we actually had a huge showing. Like, oh wow, okay. I wasn't sure I wanted to go. Yeah. Like I told Lisa in the morning, she loves open mat, and I do too. But I was like, I don't know if I want to go. Like I gotta wear my black belt today, and I was like, can I just put my brown belt on and pretend like yesterday didn't happen and just give me another day? And because suddenly guys roll with you, they expect black belt level perfection in their mind, and that's a lot of pressure on you, right? And they're going to come at you differently they're going to roll differently with you, because if you don't know jiu-jitsu, you're grappling with each other. So think of wrestling. If you don't understand, think of wrestling with submissions, and it's a 360 game versus wrestling's definitely, well, it is kind of 360, but different.
Yeah, it's a little different.
So guys are trying to take your arm off or choke you out. Literally, like people can go up to 100%. Now, people don't typically go 100%, but you go close. You'll be pushing 70, 80, 90%, and you can do that without getting, probably not getting hurt.
Yeah.
Typically, you're not going to, especially if the
More
guys
often than
kind of
not,
know what
you're
they're
not.
doing. You're not going to get hurt. You might get tweaked, but you won't get hurt.
Yeah.
So now you've got a guy, say a purple belt. So a purple belt in jiu-jitsu is an advanced level rank. That guy has been training 5 years, 4, 5, 6
At least
years.
4, but yeah.
And they're good. Purple belts are good. Like, they're not slouches. They're good. And so and maybe I'm 44, right? So I do my best to stay physically fit and in shape and whatever. But I'm still 44. There's still this is the reality of my age. So I get a 24-year-old purple belt, been training since he's 16, say. Which there was a couple of those guys there, I found out. Well, when he wants to roll with me, he doesn't look at me as, oh, he just got his black belt, he's 44. No. He's looking at me like, I want to roll with that guy, and I want to test myself. I want to put everything I got against that guy and find out what I can do. That's what I got to deal with now. So Sunday, I told Lisa, I said, I'm only rolling with you today. I was like, we're going to drill and train. And we ended up, there was a good turnout, but we got there a little late. And so her and I drilled for a while. And then I was talking to another friend of mine that was there, who I kind of wanted to roll with him, Danny.
Uh-oh.
We didn't roll.
Oh.
Danny. You went back to New York today. But anyway, really cool guy. But we ended up sitting there bullshitting. And then I looked off and Lisa's out destroying some female blue belt from another gym. I won't call it out, but she was destroying her. So anyway, but I kind of avoided rolling with anybody else that day because honestly I was nervous. I ain't gonna lie, I'm not afraid to admit it. I was nervous about it. Like I was nervous. Like I was telling my best friend today, I feel like I need this week to get that week underneath that belt, so get comfortable with wearing it and going with guys, feeling it. And then by next Sunday when I go to open mat.
And I could see that being a little intimidating. So it's like, here it is, congratulations, now go open mat. Like,
Well, there's some killers.
Yeah.
Man, Jason, I'm telling you, there are killers around here in Houston. Killers.
Jiu-jitsu is unique in the sense that your belt color isn't always indicative of your true skill or athleticism and things of that nature.
Very
so,
correct.
And it's not a knock on the higher belts. It's just sometimes just when shit works. You'll get somebody in there. So it was years ago, when I went to jiu-jitsu, I already had multiple arts. And I had Sambo and I had all these other things coming in, judo and all this other stuff coming into it. No, I was not your traditional white belt.
Right.
I was wearing a white belt.
Right.
So does that mean the guys that were advanced weren't advanced? No.
I hate guys like you, by the way.
It's
like I know now. Just because someone's wearing a white belt, I don't take that for shit.
No.
I'm always like, let's see how this guy moves first.
And it's that first
once
you
it,
just touch them.
You know it. So that balance, that their movement, you're like, this motherfucker's not a real white belt.
Yeah.
Versus the real white belt, you'll know immediately. Like, okay, let's relax.
Yeah, you can ease up, but
yeah, I know a couple of you guys. They're like, this fucker's this lying sack of shit. I'll be like, what do you train at? What school do you train at?
Yeah.
And then it'll come out. The truth will come out. Well, I train over here and I trained over there.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway. I kind of wish in when you're wearing your gis, there should be some level of little patch or something that should give some emblem to show that you have high level ranks in other arts.
It probably should be because we got a guy there. He's one of the Lopez brothers, and he's a high level Taekwondo guy. Yeah. He's a white belt in jiu-jitsu, but he's got enough. He's done martial arts his whole life, so he has really good base and movement. He still is a white belt in jiu-jitsu. Like, he's a white belt in jiu-jitsu.
He still has good spatial awareness.
Very good spatial awareness. Very good. He's nervous about controlling distance and stuff like that. It's different. But his balance, his understanding of what he doesn't want his body to do is really good. Yeah, I have to work harder on him than I do an average white belt for sure. And he's very physically athletic and stuff. So it's a good little role to get started. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Yeah. There are definitely guys who are high level or well trained in other martial arts. Even it helps. It 100% helps.
Oh yeah.
It makes a big difference.
Over.
Yeah,
so it's fun, man.
Yeah, it was cool, man. But now I'm ready, man. I'm ready to get this week under me. I got fucking Masters Worlds in 5 weeks.
Yeah, I do.
But I'll be ready.
You'll be ready.
I'm excited. I was training I'm actually pretty excited. I'm on pace with my weight and everything. I'm feeling good about it. I'm just hoping I don't get like Salo Cabrera or something in my first match. if I see that guy, I'm pretty sure he's not my weight class. He's in the weight class above me.
Oh,
and
see,
I
you
think
have a
he's
little bit
actually in an age bracket above me, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
But there's some guys I'm just like, I don't know who I'm going to get.
I know. I like that though. It makes it
I
fun,
do.
You know, and that's.
But it's going to change my game plan. I'll be honest with you. There's some guys I see step across. I'm like, okay, so this is what's not going to happen.
Yeah.
To start this match, I'm not.
And they don't do in jiu-jitsu what they do in a lot of the other arts. Now, okay, so I haven't been in a lot of tournaments of other arts in years, right? But what they used to do is they would know the guys coming in, what their schools were, who their grandmaster was, all these other things, and you would kind of get loosely seated. In jiu-jitsu, I swear, dude, they're just like this one, that one, that one, that one. Like
there's no seating.
They don't even care.
I mean, in a regular, like IBJJF, they're not seeding anything.
Yeah.
I don't think they are. They're not supposed to really. It's supposed to be kind of random.
Yeah.
If you get a bye, it's random. If you don't get a bye, it's random. Yeah. It's supposed to be random. I'm sure.
It feels random.
I'm sure. Look, I mean.
Of course, we're human. Occasionally shit happens.
Hey, I know that guy. Yeah. The guy making the bracket. But, beforehand, you'll know who you're going against. Obviously, like they usually post it like 2 days ahead. You'll see the bracket. So I never look. I never look.
You don't?
No, because honestly, maybe I'll change that this year because I've had some bad luck doing this. I've never looked usually because it makes me more nervous. Because no one posts like their shitty video, right? No one posts the video of them getting crushed. They only post their highlights of them doing really well. So it can be kind of intimidating, like, oh shit, this guy's like crushing everybody.
You just go into that's the absolute best they can do.
Yeah, and I'm thinking this year I'm gonna check out who it is.
Yeah.
I think so, just to get an idea. I think if I'm a little more prepared, because that's one thing about my game. I don't want to say too much, but that's one thing about my game. The better I know somebody, the better I'm the worst first roll. Because if I don't know what someone does, it kind of throws me off a little bit.
Yeah.
But then once I understand what they do, then I feel really comfortable. Yeah. It's kind of weird. Some people are the other way around. Not the other way around, but they do great off the jump. Yeah. I'm like the guy. Like I gotta see what this guy does first. And it's like first 2-3 minutes. It's like, what is it? I don't understand what this guy's doing yet.
Yeah.
Let me see how to figure this out. And I think maybe I'll watch this year.
I think you should.
I think so. We'll see. We're gonna go for that game plan.
Yeah, we'll hit it.
And we'll see what happens.
We'll hit it.
And
yeah. All right, so I want to get into this, man.
All right, we got some stuff going on. There's some crazy stuff this last week.
Dude, okay, so it's a short one, right?
Yesterday.
This is so here's the short one. We'll get this one out of the way. I just gotta hit it. The shooting in Chicago. The officer really.
Oh man.
Okay.
Is there really riots over this?
Well, I don't know right now. 'Cause I'm disclaimer. I'm avoiding a lot of the news.
Yeah.
So I get it. I see something. I'll dive into a specific topic. I don't get any perimeter stuff. I'm not listening. Does that make sense?
Right.
So I know there were riots right afterwards, immediately afterwards,
right,
of what was going on. Then they put the body cam footage out. And
I'm
like, which is great because, and I posted on the thing. So I'm like, clearly the body cams are a good thing because now we know. I don't think it had audio. I don't think you need audio.
I haven't seen audio, but yeah, you don't. It is not necessary.
So clear to see what's going on, and my deal is this, and I put this on the deals. What will it take, or when will we get to the point that people are going to stop overreacting to criminals being criminals and the police doing their job? Mm-hmm. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
And it's so many times. Well, but the police says, well, police that. I'm like, they were screaming. There were riots about the female cop that shot him, but the female cop didn't shoot him, and we know that because of the body cam footage.
Right.
Now. It was a male officer that shot him. So it's like they first were saying he was unarmed. Now the riots are going. He was unarmed. The riots are going. The female police officer shot him. The riots were going. It was unjustified shooting. Right. Okay. Now we know that's not the fact.
Right.
So what the?
You know where I think this happened? Because I've been thinking about this for a while. We've talked about it a lot.
A lot.
The one thing that I was trying to. Why is it that the public immediately assumes the worst about a police officer in a shooting and the best about the criminal? Why does the criminal always get the benefit of the doubt? I haven't understood this at all, and it's something that kind of bewilders me. Like, why are police officers? Police officers. Almost everybody knows a police officer.
Yes.
I shouldn't say almost everybody, but a lot of us do. And you know that these are regular guys. Like, you know this. It's a guy that's probably 99% of the time a good guy with probably a family.
Yeah. most of the time.
Just a normal average guy who's trying to do good things. He's not a criminal. He's not out breaking the law. He's not out trying to take advantage of people. That's not the kind of person that becomes a police officer. Right. So why is it that the public immediately goes, well, what did the police thought? Why did he shoot him? He must have done. He didn't have to do that. Like, why do they assume he didn't have to do that? Why do they assume that the police officer is trigger happy and that the criminal was trying to comply or not doing something to the level that required deadly force to be used? They always assume it, right? And there's a little bit of ignorance of what can actually happen in an encounter. And there's another encounter I want to talk about since you brought that up. But I think it goes back to Rodney King. I really think for our current time, because we've had issues up and down with police for decades now, right? Well, longer even. Yeah. But we'll just talk in the modern times, in our lifetime. I think it goes back to Rodney King. I think the Rodney King incident for the nation, L.A. was having problems before that. And different cities were having different problems with police. But for the nation, I think Rodney King flipped everything. I think it suddenly became, why are the officers acting that way? Versus, well, the officer must have been justified if he had to do that. It just switched. Yeah. Well, why did the officer have to do that? I think it goes back to Rodney King.
I agree.
And we still have not recovered from that episode as police and as a society.
As a blanket, I think I agree with you. Again, we've had issues going way beyond Rodney King and all that kind of stuff. But that was one of the first ones that it was the whole trial open? I know a lot of it was on TV, but I don't remember if the whole trial was open. I don't remember.
It's so long ago. I don't remember if it was open. I remember seeing it on TV, and I don't know if I was seeing clips or if we were seeing the actual trial. I'm pretty sure it was on TV. I'm almost positive now.
And then I know, I'll say, I could be wrong, all the networks were showing segments of the video.
Yeah. And well, there was a lot of stuff that happened there that really was not talked about.
Yeah.
Prior, because the kind of the way the news made it sound, from what I remember, and even looking back at stuff when they replay stuff, they don't really talk about the ensuing, what led to that.
No, they don't.
Because they make it sound like a regular traffic stop. Yeah. People don't realize it was the end of a long police chase where there's a lot of dangerous things that happened, and Rodney King acted in an extremely reckless and dangerous manner.
Yes.
He was acting he was not acting correctly. He was not cooperating, not excusing some of the actions. What I'm saying is, this was not just a motorist that got pulled over on a traffic stop for running a stop sign. That's not what occurred, and a lot of people don't realize that. And there's issues with, and I've listened to Daryl Gates. I think it was Daryl Gates. I've listened to him talk about the incident, and one of his biggest problems that he had was that the way the officers used their force, and we'll just talk about the use of force. Yeah. I'm not talking about some of the stuff that was said and some of the things that were recorded, but was ineffective, was improperly used, and that's why it lasted so long and took so long. It was done improperly. Now, was it done intentionally improperly to inflict more damage? I don't know. I don't know what's in those officers' hearts.
Right.
But I've heard it said that should have been over with within seconds. Yeah. If the baton strikes and the force was done appropriately or properly with the proper amount of force, it would have been over with in seconds, and the guy would have been cuffed and it would have been done. Yeah. So, and even though he was a big guy, because he was a big guy.
Yeah, but some of those officers were equally big.
Yeah, no, and there was a lot of them. Yeah. And LAPD back then was not hiring sloughs.
No.
I mean, you couldn't just be what's his name from. Anyway, you couldn't be Barney Fife working for LAPD. You still can't, but back then especially.
Yeah, they had it together.
A lot of former Marines and stuff. Anyway, that's. I think it goes back. I really do think that we're still suffering from that. Like, we just have never recovered. We've never come out of that.
I think that's a good point, and I don't know how we'll get out of that, because obviously it can be logically argued that for the civilian side, the system failed them at every level on that one.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, or it did fail them or it didn't. I'm just saying it can logically be debated on both sides of this, with good facts and with good data, that the civilian side, and you could even say the black side, because Rodney King was wronged and there was no justice.
Right.
and it was recorded, and it was a big media
It's
thing.
one of the first major ones
yeah.
that was recorded and
Yeah.
really broadcast.
And
But,
so,
you know, you talk about the Chicago deal.
yeah,
And, yeah, I watched that over and over. I saw that today, and I looked at it, and I was like, people riding over this? Like, how more clear? I mean, the guy clearly goes for his weapon in a combative situation with police. He's not just carrying a gun; he's carrying a gun in a holster with a magazine on his other
I
side.
think too.
Yeah, so he's
Yeah.
carrying. He's not just bullshit carrying.
Yeah.
And he literally goes. I mean, there's no question he goes for his gun.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
there's none. Like, if there's a justified case for use of force, deadly force, that's as clear cut as it gets.
That's in the range of textbook.
Beyond. Like,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
If you have to get into a shooting and win, which of course you always want to win, you want it to look like that. So when it goes to a jury or grand jury or whoever, there's no way they can doubt that you were in fear of your life and in fear of the life of your friends and partners and people around you. But you know, that was bad.
I'm glad he missed it. Like when you see the video, you see him go and he swiped at that first one.
Yeah, and he misses.
I'm glad he missed it
It
because he
happened
would have got some
fast,
rounds
too.
off. Yeah,
It happened. Yeah, he was ready to go.
Yeah.
Mentally he was ready to go.
Yeah.
And he slipped. And thank God. In Chicago, though, is no joke. Most of those officers they're ready to go because it's so bad up
It's
there.
bad, yeah.
Depending on the side of town.
Yeah.
But I've talked to a couple of the guys and they said, well, it depends on what side of town you're on. But yeah,
Which is
there's
true.
There's
Absolutely.
some bad areas, but it's not like all like that. You know,
Yeah.
it depends on where you work, which is like most big cities.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, that was a bad. But in Massachusetts, did you hear about that one in
It
Massachusetts?
was a quick blurb, so I didn't read
So
into
this
it.
one,
So I
and this
didn't.
is the one. This is the thing I wish people would understand this. Anytime an officer gets into a physical confrontation with a subject, it's no such thing as an unarmed person. Like,
Right.
there is always a weapon involved when it's involving an officer. And if someone goes physical with you, they're going physical with that weapon that's attached to you.
Right.
They're making a conscious decision to fight you knowing you're armed. And it's not a justification of ignorance to say, well, in their mind, they're not armed. No, we can't assume that, number one, that his goal is not to take your firearm. And number two, I don't have to make an assumption for his benefit that jeopardizes my safety or the
Right.
safety of somebody else. It's so hard to get a civilian to understand that concept because they only think, well, the guy's unarmed, and you got a gun. That gun from you can be taken
Yeah.
very easily. So this situation in Massachusetts that's exactly what happened. Is that I guess the guy got into a hit and run, I believe. I could be wrong on the call, but I know it was an accident where the guy fled.
It was an accident. He fled. I don't know what.
And so the officer made foot chase, and at some point the suspect was able to basically crown him with a rock and knock him down a hill, and then he got on top of him, took his gun, and unloaded on him. I think multiple shots to the head, multiple shots to the chest, killed him.
Yeah.
Took off running and actually he shot an elderly woman, and I don't know if she's dead too as well.
Oh yeah, I don't know. She's
I think so because he's been charged with 2 counts of homicide.
Okay, well then.
So
Yeah.
as the officers are chasing, the other officers are chasing him. He's just shooting blindly, I guess. Somehow I didn't see. I'm just going by what I read. And a stray round went and hit an elderly woman sitting in her home, I guess, and killed her.
Damn.
And anyway, it's crazy. It's just crazy. So it's, but this was from a unarmed subject,
and that's. Oh man, because there's a perspective I want to get to with the gun debate, and this doesn't cross into that at all. I'm like, it's hard for me because I'm in a loss of words. I don't want to sound like the super right, crazy conservative gun nut in situations like this, but I don't know what else to do because in my mind, and we've talked off air and I shared online, so it's not a secret. In my mind, I'm pretty extreme about stuff. I'm like, if there's an officer and you do something disrespectful, you might get your foot shut off.
Yeah.
That's way extreme, and people lose their mind when I say stuff like that. But that's the reality of it. Don't fuck around. It will never end in a good manner if you attack a cop, run from a cop, spit on a cop. Spit on, Cops are used to that now. Officers are now, they're pretty used to that. So you might get okay on that.
It's still assault in Texas.
It is, yeah.
But Seattle, I don't know. Sorry. And then I got some friends up there. They've told me some of the stories that they have to deal with. But anyway.
That's kind of the deal. So if you attack an officer, I would fully support on a jury that officer immediately pulling out and opening fire on
I
that
know
guy.
it's happened, and I have I have at least one friend who's had to defend himself that way. An unarmed guy attacked him, he shot him and killed him. Justified. Yeah. He was justified. And it's not to say that police officers want to go out and shoot guys just because they get in a fight with them.
No,
because it's common. It happens. Having to use physical force on somebody happens. Now there's different levels. There's the guys fleeing from you, and then just trying to get away from you. And then there's guys that outright, at some point, either from the initial time that it becomes confrontational, or somewhere along them trying to get away, where it turns into them full on attacking you. Yeah. There's a lot of officers where it's justified. It's justified to use deadly force in a lot of situations like that. That's how fast it can escalate.
Yes.
It can escalate within hundreds of a second to that deadly force is justified. It's
Oof.
Yeah.
I'm just running through a bazillion scenarios in my brain right now.
There literally are a zillion scenarios. Yeah. And it's why when the public tries to say,
he was running, why'd you shoot?
Yeah, it's like, man, it's it's not CSI Miami, guys. No. It's things in real life are.
In that, there's a little bit of military involved in this as well. But just because somebody takes 2 steps and running that way doesn't mean they're unarmed and scared and trying to get away. They might just be trying to get some cover and open up on you.
Yeah. Well, if they got military training, you really got a problem because their distance move, cover, shoot.
So I'm just kind of like,
cut angles, the whole nine.
If it's an aggressive scenario and a car chase and all this other kind of stuff, and the way they jump, and it's hard to explain this to civilians, but the way they get out and the way they run and how they glance and things like that can tell you everything.
And how do you explain that to somebody? Because some of that you can't even pick up on a camera.
Right.
Some of that's not going to be visible on a dash camera or something. Because that's not that tenth of a second where someone does a quick glance.
The way they do it.
Or does a quick shoulder drop where that arm just and it's not picked up on a camera.
Yeah.
But as a person, you see it. Mm-hmm. And in the moment when all your fight or flight, your everything is keyed up.
Yeah.
And all your survival instincts are firing through the roof, and you're picking up every possible danger signal that's coming from that person.
Right.
How do you explain that in a relaxed, calm setting to somebody who's never, ever been in a situation where they have to defend themselves in any manner? Mm-hmm. How?
Yeah, you can't do it. You can't do it.
Yeah, I know.
And so that's, for me, is it should just, I don't know the solution to it, because a criminal's still going to run. A criminal's still going to do these things.
They're going to do what they do.
And I feel, and this is debatable, but my personal opinion is that the police officer should always have an elevated benefit of doubt.
And it has always been that way until recently. Yeah, last 30 years. Yeah. Like 30 years, it just went away. And I that's why I kind of think it was the Rodney King thing. It really was the changing point. That was when I got into law enforcement. It was about that time.
Wow.
Because I was right before. I became a police officer in '93 in the Air Force. That's where I started my career. And the Air Force is very much like civilian law enforcement. Yeah. I'm old. I'm old too. And that was, I remember at work listening to the O.J. Simpson chase. We were listening on the radio, and we were like, "Holy shit, is this really happening?" And but yeah, that's how long I've been around. And so that's when it was different then, but I've seen that change over the last 20 plus years. It's the police world is 180 from when I started. There's a lot of reasons for that, but I think.
Sure. And some of those changes are good.
For sure.
And some of all that stuff, body cams and increased audio and
it's turned out very good for officers. Yeah. And I think officers knew that. Like I remember as body cams were coming in, they're like, okay, please let people see what I'm dealing with in a person to person, because this is not easily explainable all the time. Yeah. Typing it out doesn't make sense. And trust me, you guys make up so much stuff on us anyway, and say we said this or this happened or that happened. I want that body cam to show your face and the way you're talking to me and the angles and the movements that you're giving me when I'm dealing with you that even my dash cam can't pick up.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yes, give me. I don't know any officers that don't appreciate those body cams.
The only kickback I ever heard at any level was just simply a funding thing.
Yeah,
like, okay,
it was. And for us,
but it wasn't. Nobody disagreed.
And you know what's funny? For like larger departments, it was more of an issue because they really had to come up. It cost them millions of dollars to supply their officers versus the smaller departments like the ones I work for was, there's a little grant money and it's there. So, but bad situation.
So okay, the gun thing, right?
Yeah.
This is what brought it back up into my mind, and I forget the guy's name, but I think you probably saw. I posted it, but I don't know if you saw the tidbit. The guy who did the 3D printer.
Yes.
Okay. And then there were all the lawsuits, and he won the lawsuit against the United States.
I'm proud of that guy.
Well,
I am.
And so
he's done a lot for gun owners.
Dude, outrageous.
That was a huge win.
Huge. And so he's making all the stuff and all the things. And I won't get deep into that story, but in my mind, that changed everything about gun laws and gun. It's all available. Well, I don't know if he's uploaded it all yet.
Right.
But they're going through and it's just every weapon they possibly can.
It's up to 50 caliber. Is that correct?
I think it is.
that was the limit that was put on it or something. I don't know for some reason I want to say 50 caliber is there's something about 50 caliber it's up to that it's developing.
Yes, and I don't know if it included or it went up to it
but
or
around
didn't.
100%. I just think that's what I read.
There was something about that.
A lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's plenty.
And so, I mean, everything from, every pistol, every rifle, just all of it, right?
It's crazy.
And it's just, and the one quick tidbit is that they're unmarked, untraceable. If
you have a 3D printer,
you got to get that 3D printer, and they're making little 3D printers specifically for doing these parts and things of that nature, and they showed a little bit of it on the video.
That's so insane.
So insane. But the point is that it brings, seeing both sides post about it, it brings that debate back up big time in a different way. And so I was listening to several different podcasts and everything I could find on it. And I would love to cite and reference exactly who I heard say what, and I'll try, but I don't remember all of it because I was driving, went to Dallas, and so I'm listening to all these things, right? Something that hit me that helped me with my perspective, and it was a right person, conservative person, saying this about the left. Okay, so in defense of the left and their positions, is he was saying that, paraphrasing, they don't want to take your guns. That's not really what they're seeing. That is a result of what they want, but it's not. They're like, when you say you want to take my guns, they are legit for the most part. No, I don't want to take your guns. Really, what they're saying is taking a step backwards. Laws, government, things of that nature are force, right? And everybody needs force for protection. Most liberals, I hate saying liberals. I feel like I'm like cursing somebody out when you say liberal or conservative and stuff like that.
Bad word.
It's retarded. But that'll get me in trouble too, saying retarded, whatever. Shit, I can't even talk anymore. But a lot of the people on the left don't go to firearms and weapons and things of that for protection. They look to the government for protection. That's sort of the nature of the Democratic Party. They want more government. Right. And that's not, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just typically how they go. And so they look to the government for protection. Well, the government is the force. The laws are the force. So when you get things like Sandy Hook and the Florida shootings and all this other kind of stuff, they're not saying take all the guns. When they're saying we have to do something, they're saying make laws that protect us, give us force. When the right is saying, I've got my force.
Yeah.
I've got my great equalizer. I'm trained. I'm ready. I have my force. What the hell are you talking about? Don't take my force. And it gets into this whole force situation.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's the right, and I'm over grouping this blanket
It's an easy way to kind of break it down.
Yeah,
though.
right, left. It just makes it easier because I know left that have guns anyway.
Yeah.
But as a whole, the left is just simply saying, protect me. No, you don't have to give me your guns. Don't give up your guns. Just protect me. Then you get into all that perimeter shit because that's where it goes, is because there isn't a definition of protect me. What does protect me mean? Because you don't want guns. You don't want training guns. Guns scare you or whatever reason, legit reasons. Not everybody needs to own a firearm.
It's true.
And so they're like, okay, well, I don't want a firearm, but I don't want somebody to shoot me or my kids, but I want to be protected. So just protect me. I don't know. No, don't take their guns. Just protect me. So now you get into that catch-22.
Mm-hmm.
To protect you, we've got to take their guns.
Right.
Legislate their guns. But if we legislate their guns, then there's less good guys with guns, which we know stats and data. The more good guys with guns, the less bad guys with guns accomplish their crimes.
It's true.
Right? But I thought it was interesting looking at it from that perspective because it goes beyond the gun debate. It goes to a woman's right to choose. It goes to all. So they're not saying, I want to go kill babies. They're saying, I want the protection. So if something fucked up happens to me, I don't have to worry about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it's never that follow through.
Well, they want the state protecting them.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
So it's just all about state protection.
Yeah, I think that there is truth in that. I think if you look behind the surface of the argument, those are the things you start to find. And I think here's the other thing. I think that people on both sides, we'll say with the anti-gun side, there's different reasons for wanting guns prohibited. I think most people who are anti-gun would wish that all guns are prohibited. I think that's fair to say. I think a lot of them may not want to say that because they know it makes it look extreme. But honestly, that would be if they could wave a wand and make a wish, that would be what they would want.
Right.
And if they were king for a day, and there's different reasons. Some people have reasons of bad experiences, with people dying through suicide, which, as we talked about. Sorry, my phone's on.
I was like,
as people dying through suicide, which is the majority of firearm deaths in this country, which I had known before Ryan posted that, but 65% was. It's a lot. That's a big chunk of those firearm deaths. But through suicide, and in their mind, if they didn't have that gun, they wouldn't have committed suicide. We know that's not true because if someone was committed suicide, gun is not the only option. Right. Or they've lost someone through gun violence or whatever. So the thought process is gun doesn't exist or gun is not there. My loved one or the person I cared about or that innocent person would still be there.
Right.
We know that's in the overwhelming majority of those cases, that's just not fact.
Right.
So the place I think they're coming from is actually a good-hearted place. I don't think it's because, hey, I don't want you to have the ability to protect yourself against criminals. That's not where it's coming from. But I don't think they're letting their emotion overrule logic, and they're not taking the time to understand the full argument and why that situation, as tragic as it is not the norm, and that a lot more tragic situations in our society as it exists today, a lot more tragic situations would occur if people did not have the ability to own firearms and protect themselves.
Right.
And I think it's one of those things where trying to use logic to overrule emotion is very difficult.
Yeah. And I would argue to say that their first step in the debate and in the discussions and all these things is logical.
Mm-hmm.
We the anti-gun side want to be protected, and I don't agree with it, but it's logical to say that we want to get all the firearms out of all the criminals' hands that we can. What's the definition of criminal? And let's go get all of those.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not realistic, but that's a logical request. That's a logical deal. And like I said before, and like you touched on, they just don't follow it through.
Right.
It's just so the step one is logical, and then step two on, they're like, it just crumbles. And I don't think it's their fault. Mm-hmm. Again, because like you said, I do think it comes from a good-hearted place. They're not being malicious. They're not coming in and saying, turn all your guns into the government so we can have the Fourth Reich.
Right.
They're not saying that.
Right.
And anybody that claims they're saying that's, I think, ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it's not fair. It's not true.
Yeah, it's not true. It's not fair. But it's that whole thing about just we want to be protected. Protect us. And so,
but why don't I just? This is the part that I don't get. Why do people trust government so much? Like, what government in society has done so well that you're like, yeah, I want you to have every say over every part of my life because you're so benevolent.
Yeah.
What government? Please name it.
There's none.
Exactly.
We're the closest.
Well, but we were based on the opposite of that.
Yeah.
We're based on the government doesn't know what's best for you. The government says, hey, we'll provide you a safe area. You develop your own life, but you still kind of got to protect yourself. But we'll just keep the guys from outside our borders from raiding us and taking everything
Right.
over. That's generally a very
Well,
general concept.
right.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We were based on the opposite of that. The government's not going to fix your woes. The government's just going to create a safe, protect certain rights, and then let you pursue your life as you see fit. You know, I just don't. I don't know. I don't know why. Like if you look at, we've talked about it before, like communist regimes or totalitarian regimes. Never goes well for the population.
The unarmed population
never goes well.
Yeah.
I just don't know of one.
Yeah. And people will argue, and I get it. They're going to argue Australia. They're going to argue Great Britain. And they're going to argue different countries around the world. It's where there's some level of success in regards to guns.
Right.
Well, once time passes, because to me, Australia is still a litmus test.
It is, because it's new.
It's in the grand scheme of things, it's brand new.
Yeah.
Right. And people who say, no, it's been years, hush it. It's brand new in the big picture.
Yeah.
You go to one that's been one of the longest standing, right? So go to England. They've got knife stabbings and deaths and acid thrown in face, far exceeding the gun BS we've got here.
Insane
It's
amount.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And that's a smaller country with a smaller population, which is more easily controlled, more easily policed, more easily, all this kind of crap. So
You would think
Yeah.
more easily policed, but the way they've let their country kind of.
well, yeah.
There's that immigration debate.
Right.
That's another uncomfortable topic for
man.
people
Yeah.
because of the subject matter. But that's a perfect. Well, Europe in general is dealing with that immigration issue.
And I'm just like, oh, that's a whole nother deal.
Yeah, it is.
But so the gun thing is, so an unarmed population throughout history has not fared well.
Never.
Right. And I don't know how you can debate anything other than that.
Yeah. Well, I just think that we just have to be staunch, very staunch in that protection of that Second Amendment. Yes, you have to be hardcore about it. You have to fight every little attempt to. I'll give you an example. We were, and here's the thing: Second Amendment's been heavily eroded in our country, and then there are some states where you can barely own a firearm.
Yeah,
like barely. So we were down at today. We had stopped by a place called Radical Firearms, getting some stuff done. So you know where it's at. Yeah. It's really cool. Speaking of 3D printers, I got to go back and see how they cut the barrels and all this stuff. So amazing to watch that. Just it's like that machine's just doing it for them, and it's like wow. But anyway, there was a guy there from Connecticut trying to get a rifle made that would be legal in Connecticut.
Oh.
And it's so difficult. I didn't even realize the laws were. I was joking about when we were in there, and we were talking to some of the guys, and I saw because the guy had a shirt on that said something from Connecticut. Yeah. So my detective skills kicked in, and I figured out he's from Connecticut.
Hey, it's quick, man.
And it's an incredible training. Anyway, I made a joke. Was he trying to get a gun legal enough for Connecticut? But I said that without even knowing the laws of Connecticut. I kind of made a little bit of a jump just because of the area of the country it's in. And then sure as shit, someone like like he has to have something done on it to make it to where it's not like it can't be a pistol fired something or another. It has to have a certain type of rod in it, and to be considered, they basically, from what I was told, cannot own a gun inside any category other than other, which means anything other than anything with a pistol grip and all this stuff, pistols included. And I was like, that's a violation of his civil rights. Like, that's a violation of the Bill of Rights. Like, how is that not challenged and destroyed? I don't understand how that's not challenged and destroyed.
Money, I get, because I don't know the answer. I'm just throwing shit out there.
It just blows me away. Like, how's someone not destroyed that?
The new potential law in New York State. Okay, listen to this. It's not passed. Okay, so it's going to be voted on sometime in the next few weeks. A teacher at a school can call the authorities and say, in quotations, "Little Johnny is dangerous." The authorities now have the ability to take their gun rights away from mom and dad.
Oh no! There's no way that stands up.
It's New York, dude.
Well, it'll stand up maybe in New York, but
Yeah.
I can't imagine if it goes further.
Yeah.
I just can't.
A
Like,
te-
that's a teacher? What
He's a
what's
di-
training and skill level do they have to make
Right.
a determination on if someone has a right to own a farm? That's bull. That's
It's something safe, something act. But
so
yeah.
did you? So, and I don't know if this is true. My partner told me this today. I guess in Virginia, I think it's Virginia. They're now they passed, I guess, a state law that's going to allow teachers to be armed in the classroom.
Oh, somewhere over there, yes. I don't know if it was Virginia, but
Maybe not Virginia, maybe West Virginia.
I want to think it was Georgia, but
Maybe it's Georgia.
But yeah,
But I heard him say
yeah.
that. I was like, "It's fantastic."
Yeah.
I mean, that's fantastic.
We're having a divide, man, and it's not a north, south, east, west divide. It's all sprinkles.
That
man.
shows the extreme nature of the divide, which is actually very common. If you look at our country and the extreme nature of our conversations with each other, where you're either these far lefties or far right or whatever. It's kind of funny that the law is even breaking down like that by state.
Yeah.
You know, where you got New York, hey, a teacher can have someone's firearms confiscated based on Johnny's actions in classroom. And in Georgia, they're arming the teacher, whatever state it is. They're arming the teachers to prevent school shootings. So that's insane.
It's interesting to me that how they're going at trying to solve this from such different.
And meanwhile, every state's trying to legalize marijuana. Could you see this 20 years ago?
No.
Yeah,
You know,
man, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Whoa.
The laws are so weird. Like it doesn't make sense.
And I say this to a lot of people, and I think we've talked about it. There is a major shift going on right now.
Oh yeah.
And how to define it? I can't define it.
Yeah.
Like, is it this? Or that? I don't know how to define it.
I don't either.
You know, and there's I remember what I was watching. It was an interview with one of the gubernatorial candidates, Libertarian Party for New York, right? And everybody's saying that this guy, I can't remember his name, top of my head, but irrelevant. True libertarian.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, obviously reduce the role of government and let people have more freedoms and things of this nature, all that. One of the things he said that clearly legalize all these drugs. He was like, his opinion is like the problem with immigration from how we view it here as far as everything coming from the south border. He was like 85% of that's gone if you legalize drugs. Eliminate the prohibition of drugs here. Make them clean, control them, get your tax on them, do all this kind of crap like that. They're still, you know, it's not like you just outside a pot. It's not like you walk in anywhere and get it. They're still controlled, but they're legal. Like you can go get it under certain guises and all this other kind of stuff. But he's like, that helps eliminate the border issue.
I think there's some truth to that.
Some.
Now, but I'm gonna put a disclaimer on that. I don't think I like some of these, like the opiates. Some of those drugs, no, I don't think we can just flat out legalize. I think they're too dangerous.
Yes.
And addictive, and I don't think we can just freely let those in society. I know some countries kind of do, but I just don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Now we've discussed that before. It probably would make a big difference. But here's the thing about narcos or you know, drug cartels south of the border. That's not the only way they make money here in this country.
Yeah.
Weed is a chunk of it, but you know through people trafficking, human trafficking, through meth and you know cocaine, all those bringing in here, you know, through lots of different things. They're making money.
Yeah.
So I mean, legalizing weed I think would help.
Yeah.
Knock a little bit of it off.
Yeah, legalizing.
But they're still gonna be making. They're making so much money.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Like they're making so much money that even knocking that chunk, whatever, maybe it's 30% of what they profit, I still don't think it would affect them.
Yeah.
Like they're still that 70% is so big.
You would have to effectively eliminate the prohibition on pretty much every drug.
Yeah, and I don't know how much. I don't even know if that would really work because there's still going to be a black market. You got to wonder if there's still going to be a black market for certain drugs.
I don't know.
I mean, like, it would depend on how the laws break down. It would
Cost
depend on
and laws and there's other
price, and so suddenly there's a black market for almost everything. So I mean, you just got to. I don't know how much it affects it, and the human trafficking issue is one that.
Oh, that's a mess, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one that doesn't get solved by legalizing drugs.
No.
Like human trafficking is a big part of what they do. And I don't know. That's a whole nother ballgame. That's a major problem. That's a majge problem worldwide. Honestly,
that is a global issue. I don't want to pretend like that's just over
that's a
here.
worldwide issue.
That's a global issue.
We're a destination for a lot of traffickers, but so are a lot of other places. So, yeah,
that's a mess. So so this guy's that. One of the other things he said is that he believes that felons, once they have served their time and fulfilled all their obligations and all of these things, should then be returned to regular citizen status. That was a hard one for me.
Because I don't know.
Because I'm sitting there and it's
I
like,
think about that for a minute.
I know people, and have known people who are felons.
Right.
Right. And thinking about some of the shit they did that gave them that felony, they are some of the last people in the world I would say are violent and that would harm anyone and that would these things. And I'm like, well, is someone who is caught drunk driving 2 times, because third time he becomes a felony, gets caught 2 times, and they've harmed people in that process and had to go to jail, and they've either harmed, injured, you can't say kill because then that would have made it a felony and so on and so forth, right? But they still get all the freedoms and liberties because they're not a felon yet. But somebody who got caught with a joint 3 times in a row,
that still wouldn't be a felony.
well, I'm just saying, there's minor.
I see what you're saying. Your point is there's certain felonies.
I don't want to hit anybody.
There's certain felonies that
here's one.
Okay.
I got one. Easy. Guy in college, tech guy, learns how to cheat vending machines with fake credit cards.
That could definitely end up. Yeah. Well, there you go.
It's a felony.
It's fraud. Yeah. So, well, here's the thing. I agree with you. There are. I think I agree that you make a good point. Yeah. There are certain felonies that does someone really need to lose their right to vote and own a firearm over? Right. Yeah. But there's others where clearly maybe we should make the distinction starting at as a starting point would be violent felonies. If you're convicted of a violent felony, boom. Now you got to define what is a violent felony. It sounds simple, but there's a lot of crimes that are kind of murky. Yeah. As far as are they violent? Is that considered violent, or is that considered reckless nature where someone got hurt? So it's kind of. But so we'll just make it simple and say, well, we'll start with violent felonies. If you've been convicted of a violent felony, have a conviction on your record, then you lose the voting right. You lose the right to have a firearm.
And see,
that's permanent.
That's where I am.
But then you have the guys who've done some stupid shit when they were younger, which was felony acts, and they got convicted, pled guilty probably even. Yeah. They did their time. They did what they were supposed to do, serve their probation, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And I know a couple guys that convicted of a felony, and it's not a violent felony, but it was a felony nonetheless. Yeah. And they're still serving their probation and all that stuff. But you got to wonder, as the person is, as far as I know them, they're really good person. Yeah. Very positive impact in their community and what they do. So you got to wonder, what's the point of keeping him from being able to vote and own a firearm? Yeah. Considering what his felony was. Although, I don't know. I think it's a legit question.
I think it's a good debate. So I think it's a matter of reclassifying what is. If it's going to be the term felony, then there needs to be reclassification of what the crimes are or what the convictions are. Sorry.
Well, like I said, I think violent felony is a good way to start, because there are crimes that are felonies that should be definitely classified as felonies. They're just not violent. Right. But they're defrauding someone of tens of thousands of dollars or things of that nature, which is very common. Those are freaking felonies. And honestly, if you've defrauded someone of tens of thousands of dollars, I'm not sure you should have a right to go back to society either, because there's something very violent or vile or I can't even think of the word, but to rob somebody of their life savings, or to rob somebody of their ability to put food on the plate, or pay their mortgage, or to take care of their children or their family, because you've done it through deceptive means. There's something horrid about that. That's as bad as breaking into someone's home. That's worse than breaking into someone's home and taking their stuff. That shit's replaceable. Yeah. When you defraud somebody of everything they've worked the whole life to earn, that's horrible. Like, I don't think you deserve to contribute to society like a normal person either. Yeah. Like, you're a bad human being. That's a bad human being. Yeah. So you would definitely have to go through crime by crime and decipher it. But the problem I have with that is there are people, again, who are so soft. And they go, well, but they didn't physically hurt anybody. It's like, you ever had everything taken from you before?
You destroyed their life.
You
and their children's
I'll
life.
take
Or
an
whatever.
ass. I'll take a felonious ass beating over you just taking my everything I own and saved up for the last 20 years any day of the week. Please, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
That heals up.
And but that's a struggle for me because I'm like, oh man, like what's the balance? Because I'm kind of like, because I know people, and that's the hard part is because I know some people. I'm like, you're a kid, you did some stupid shit, and you got caught, and it was stupid, and I'm like, oh, did anybody really get hurt? I'm like, okay, the vending company lost money.
Well, maybe you set up a situation where people can appeal it. They can appeal their ability to get those rights back if they want them to. And then it can be reviewed, you know, by somebody. Okay, well, yeah, you were 18. This was really bad and stupid. But you served time. You could get everything you're doing now is a positive impact. You're living life the right way. There's no reason you should not be allowed to have all your rights restored back to you.
Right.
Versus somebody who has not reformed themselves and they're trying to get there. Well, you've been arrested for a couple of misdemeanors since then. Yeah. You're still, you know, there's some gray area here. There's some shady stuff that we're not sure what's going on here. You just haven't been caught again. Yeah. Maybe. So no.
And that's kind of where there's got to be, to me, there's got to be a little give and take.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't see anything wrong with that. I'm kind of surprised we don't have something like that. I've never really looked into it, to be honest with you. So I don't know that there's not maybe some situation where someone can get it back, but I don't know.
I'm sure it would be a lot of money on an expensive attorney.
Well, anything. I'll tell you this right now: if you can afford the right attorney, you can pretty much get anything you want. They have. If you can actually have your name stricken from any police report if you get the right attorney to get the right judge to agree to it.
Oh,
I've seen guys who are legitimately arrested, and they either pled or convicted, and later we've had to go back. We have to go back into our own report system and expunge their name out of our reports in our system because they've had a judge file an order to have it completely expunged.
How that?
The first time I ever had to do that, I was like, "Are you this guy?" Like, it was something. It was something I arrested the guy for. I was like, "What are you talking about? This guy's guilty as fuck. Yeah. How is he getting his name wiped out?" And so the old vet told me, "You can get the right attorney, you can get anything done." So there's a way around almost everything in our country. Man. If you can afford it. Yeah. Look, there's legitimately a different justice system. Yeah. Based on what you make, and there's some situations you can't get out of depending on what it is. But if you got enough money and you know the right people, you can get away. You can get away with murder in our country. There's no question.
As long as it's not high profile.
Even if it's high profile, I think some guys have gotten away with murder. Yeah. But yeah, like the Hillary Clinton situation. I'm not shocked even a little bit. No, not even a tiny bit. Anybody else? Well, they talked about that one guy that was on a sub who took some pictures for his own memento. Like, hey, this is I'm getting out. I'm proud of what I've done for the U.S. Navy. I was a submariner. This is amazing. I want some pictures for my own personal keepsake. They find out and throw his ass in freaking prison. Yeah. For taking pictures for his own personal records.
Still violation.
I know, but here's my thing.
That's weak.
But Hillary Clinton, who, not just her, but her whole team, where they're smashing cell phones, deleting emails, using high-tech bleach stuff to completely wipe out the server so he can't be seen, still get caught, by the way. They still have enough evidence to charge and convict her.
And nothing.
Did you see the FBI, Peter Strzok, or whatever his name is,
I saw grilled? I watched some of the highlights of it, which was insane.
That guy's a piece of shit,
dude. And his girlfriend apparently
she's refusing.
She flipped everything. Like she was saying that yes, it was.
Did she talk?
Yesterday. Today I don't know. I didn't hear reports.
Because she was like refusing, and they were like, "We're going to charge her with contempt. Yeah. She's going to jail." So I guess she finally figured it out.
Yesterday, I'm not going to say it was like singing like a bird, but was basically because it was closed doors.
Oh, so she's done the closed door. So maybe the public one's coming next. Because that's what they did with Strzok. He did a closed door first, and then they did a public one. Yeah. He's a piece of shit. Did you see?
devilish.
I watched some of that. Like I've like
I
sat
just
down and
heard
watched.
some, so I didn't see facial expressions. I
oh.
didn't see any.
Smug, arrogant.
Damn,
Man, if I worked for the FBI, and actually my cousin does. I don't talk to him. He's actually my cousin's husband.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear his opinion, because I would be absolutely ashamed, appalled, just like, get this guy off TV.
Yeah.
Please. His facial expressions and his smugness and his arrogance of trying to the way he lied, it's disgusting. And what scares me is if this is common, if this is what's happening with the administration of the FBI, because these guys are high level guys. Like Peter Strzok was a high level guy. He's someone that's high up in the food chain of the FBI. His girlfriend is, and obviously, if they're working the Trump they're up the food chain quite a bit. They're answering directly to the director or right below him. If this is the kind of people that you're bringing up, like as a field agent or whatever, I would be just, please get rid of this guy.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of want to see what the FBI is going to do to prepare their image, and I really haven't seen them do anything.
Can do, man.
You got to do something, because right now I think I would. I haven't seen the poll yet, but I bet you it's low. The America's confidence in the FBI, it's got to be
horrible.
Low.
Because I have a couple buddies in, and they're just like, I don't like. I can't really tell a lot of people anyway right now, but they're just like, no.
And I know that's not accurate of the guys working the street.
Right.
They're working the office. It's not an accurate representation of these guys.
Right.
It's unfair It's really unfair. It's like what happens to police officers when the one bad apple's up there, and they go, "Oh, that's all." No, because I know that's not all. That's that high level, smug, connected guy up there that's political.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That got up there probably being political.
But you kind of have to.
And now you're seeing the ugliness of it, and I feel bad for a lot.
But they were killing him for lying. They were killing him for his text and messages and his history.
Shit, they were killing him for his affair.
They destroyed him.
That
for
was
his affair.
Gomer. Was it Gomer? Is that how you say his name, from Texas? Louis Gomer. He crushed it. He said, "How? So the way you're sitting here just smugly lying to us, I just got to wonder if that was how you looked into your wife's eyes and you lied to her about your having an affair." And I was like, bro, he just went there. Like, and you know what? He made a legit point. I thought, it's a good point. He's got a lot of practice lying.
Yeah. Trey Gowdy was killing them.
Man, we're going to miss that guy.
Dude, I wish he would go to the Supreme Court, man.
Oh, man. I wish he would stay. But I think he's
burnt out.
He's had enough of the circus.
Yeah.
But
he's good because he's up Trump's ass. He's up everybody's ass.
I love Trey Gowdy, man.
He is more right than anything.
Oh, yeah.
But
he's a Republican. He's a strong Republican.
Yeah, he's a strong, but he doesn't care.
He cares. I think, and of course, he's still a politician, so I don't want to give him too much praise.
Yeah.
But he's one of the few I felt like was legitimately trying to do his job right.
Yes.
I really do.
Yeah.
I think he's a former prosecutor, and that's his background. And I think just from what I've seen, he calls it like he sees it, not fluffing it, not trying to score points necessarily. I'm sure there's always a little bit of that because it's your job. But as far as politicians go, he's one of the few I actually came to really respect and like. And then when he says, "I'm not running it again," I'm like, why? We need you. Yeah. We need some of these other jackasses to stop running.
We need people like him on both sides.
Yes, for sure.
And I hate to always have to say that, but when I say we need people like him, I'm not trying to say we need to flood everybody needs to be a Republican.
No, that wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be good.
But we need Democrats that are like him. We need libertarians that are like him, that are really there, like, just, this is the shit. Let's just do it. They act in line with their platform. Yeah, you got to expect that.
Yeah,
but man, that would be.
Well, and what makes him great is the reason he's leaving, because he's like, I'm done. I've done what I need to do. I need to step out. Yeah. And he's like, I'm not going to sit here and make my career off of being a politician, unless there's some underlying issue that just never came to the surface, and that's why he's leaving. I don't think that's the case. I think he just chose. I've done my service. It's time for me to step out. Yeah. So. I have a lot of respect for him, man. Whatever he does next, I guess he's going back to private practice or something.
That's what he says.
Yeah, go back home, be with his family.
We'll see after
make
a
lot
couple
of
years.
money. Well, he's gonna fill up that wallet. He's gonna fill up those bank accounts, and then maybe he's like, all right, I'm gonna go back. This time as whatever senator. So we'll see. We'll see what he does. He probably has a good chance to be back. He's the kind of guy I could definitely see running for president or something.
Yeah.
He's got that. He's got that charisma.
Yeah.
And he's got that no nonsense attitude. I think American people. I think the American people really identify with.
Yeah. He's quick. He's witty.
He's very sharp.
Yeah.
Very sharp guy. So
That would be fun. I don't think he's done with government.
I hope you're right. I really hope you're right. A lot of guys do. There's some guys that have done that before.
Yeah.
Stepped out and then come back. So I hope you're right. Although once you start getting that fat check, you're home every weekend, taking family trips with vacations with the family.
I just don't think he's going to get a free ride. I think people are still going to be harassing him for years.
How do you mean?
Like harass is a hard time, but I mean, they're going to be, referring to him and calling him for the new stuff and he's not going to just get to go back and run his private practice.
He'll still be commenting.
Yeah.
You see those guys. They always still, they're there. Jason, what's his name? I can't remember his last name. He's got the curly hair.
Yeah.
He's still commenting constantly. He's still on Fox and all these other stuff. Yeah. Hey, so the Trump-Putin summit, we got to mention this.
Yeah, we got to.
Because this is so crazy. Did you see the... Man, so I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to happen. Does Putin have magic eyes? Does he have some crazy charisma that just encapsulates our presidents to where after they leave a meeting with him, they have nothing but praise for him?
I think this. Let me throw the disclaimer. Every president we've had is a highly intelligent human being. Even Trump.
Yeah, he's
That's
going
to piss people off. I don't care. You don't get there being a total jackass. You can't. It's impossible. Right. Us with Russia, we always have. That's how you have to deal with your greatest adversary.
Right.
Does that make sense? So it's like I relate it back when he went to North Korea, right? So when he was dealing with Kim, he's doing the same damn thing he's doing with Putin. It's the same thing. You've got to do that. Talk nice. It's great. Yeah, we're at fault. We all know the truth. Come on. Don't really believe that President Trump, with the intel that he has and all the indictments and all the information, is really going to be like, no, yeah, they didn't do anything. He said they didn't do anything, and believe it. He didn't believe that. You got to play nice. Got to play nice.
This is what I think. I think Russia for the United States, I think they're like that one crazy girlfriend we had that, was the best sex of our lives. And we had amazing times, but we also fought horribly and in horrible times too. And then we went through a long breakup, 40-year Cold War breakup where we hated each other and we were trying to steal each other's, we were trying to cause each other problems in our relationships outside, with Vietnam or with Afghanistan. We were just screwing everything up. When Russia's courting Afghanistan, we're over there. No, you know what he used to do? And you know what she used to do to me? This is that, we're really trying to screw up. And they were over there in Vietnam doing the same thing.
Yep.
Right? And China's their buddy that was go girl, you tell them what's really going on. Fuck that relationship. Don't let them have any happiness, right? Yeah. But really, we're the good guy. So we keep going. Maybe we can work it out with them, right? The Cold War ended. Remember, there was a little bit of talk about maybe we'll bring Russia to NATO, which was banana talk, right? You're
Nonsense.
Are you kidding me? The whole point of NATO is because of Russia. But there was that minute where they actually discussed that, right? And it's there was the glasnost with guy with this freaking thing on his head, Gorbachev and Reagan. Yeah. There's all those little moments where we kind of get back together for a minute and then we break up again. And then I feel like they're that girl. They're man, if we could only work it out with them, they would be perfect, right? But they're not. They're fucked up. And no matter what, no matter what we try to do with Russia, whatever we say, they're still fucked up and they're still going to screw us over in the end. Yeah. Is what I feel like. And I think we're so goddamn naive in our country that we think everybody is generally good in nature. And here's the thing. Russia, and I'm not talking about the people of Russia, I'm talking about their government.
Yeah.
It's basically still the same government that we were dealing with as the Soviet Union. They've small changes, right?
Very small.
But they're still the same government.
Yes.
Journalists are still getting murdered. People are getting murdered in freaking London.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
They're still killing people. There's still Cold War assassinations going on
Yes.
that Russia's doing. So,
I mean,
they're
Putin was
still the same.
KGB. Like, let's.
Legit, like, that's his whole background. How long has Putin been fucking running Russia now?
A long time.
He's like, he was president, and he's this, and he's back,
I mean,
and then
since
he's,
W, right?
you know, he might as well be a goddamn czar. You know, I don't.
Well, is he not?
He is. He basically is, right? He owns everything. He runs everything about that country. Just like the whole doping scandal.
Yeah.
It's all Putin.
Yeah.
Putin was running that. That's how much involved he is in everything.
And the things that interest him, it's his deal.
He runs that.
Yeah.
He runs that place like a mobster. Like, holy shit. So that's my take. We keep thinking they're going to become they're going to turn the corner and be like us, you know, fit perfectly with us. They're not us.
No.
They just aren't. It's
No.
never going to happen. They're always going to be our adversary. They're always going to be our enemy. One way or another, I just think our interests are completely opposite. Everywhere around the globe, our interests are completely different. Very few things. Maybe Islamic extremism, terrorism is the only area we kind of have some, and that's again that's it's not black and white because you got Iran and their issues with Iran. They're backing of Iran and Hezbollah and all that. But like say ISIS or some of the extreme Al Qaeda, those are one of the few areas where we're actually in. But that's not saying much because most of the world is in agreement. We need to wipe those extremists off the map. So
still, man, I like that though. I like that perspective.
I feel like that's what it is. Like if you think it's since World War II, right?
Yeah. So here's what I don't know, and maybe you know this because I can't remember back. I'm trying to. When they during Gorbachev when everything flipped and they went from Gorbachev to Yeltsin, right?
Yes. Oh, Yeltsin.
Yeah, he was just a drunk.
He's drunk.
How much money did we dump into Russia?
I have no idea. No telling. There's no telling. We tried so hard to make them like us.
A democracy, yeah.
That's what everything. Oh no, they're becoming a democracy. They're gonna start voting on their officials. They're gonna start, which I guess they kind of do, but
not really.
Yeah, I don't know exactly the process of it, but I remember that it was like.
Right.
They were good guys now. They're not bad guys anymore. It's like, and I bought into it. I didn't know.
I'm wondering if some of this is that they have a debt to us.
Oh, that's a good question.
And so maybe we're playing nice because we want to get our money back.
See, here's the thing I will say.
Yeah.
Because I'm having a little bit of fun with it. But, and I knew Trump was going to say some stupid shit after that thing. I knew it was coming. coming. And as soon as I saw the comments, I was like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why? Just think with North Korea. Like, why?
Yeah.
But his words and his actions are two different things.
Yes.
Because honestly, his administration's actions are actually, if you remove his Twitter feed and remove a mic from his face, you would have no idea he says those things because his actions of his administration are nothing like that. Like they're legitimately on Germany about this bullshit with the pipeline coming out of Russia.
Yeah.
That's a legitimate issue that they're trying to deal with.
Yeah.
Their actions against Russia and trying to curb their influence are legit.
Yeah.
Like the administration is legitimately doing things to try to curb Russian influence, in spite of these words. So he said stupid shit today, right? But if you let's watch the administration's actions. I don't think the administration's actions have been that way at all. I think it's been very much a curbing Russian aggression, curbing their influence in the Middle East, trying to shut that bullshit down with Germany.
We straight up attacked them, man.
Yeah, he was. Well, NATO is what's funny. Here's the funny thing is with our allies, he doesn't hold punches.
No.
He probably goes too far. Well, maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
We're not used to seeing that.
Yeah.
But then with Russia and North Korea, he throws a lot of honey in their ears, but the actions don't dictate that.
Right.
And I think what we saw before with Obama, he was very much smoother how he did stuff, but said things. But his actions, that administration's actions, pretty much let everybody do what they want to do.
I feel like there was a lot of coasting during the Obama years.
Yeah, I think they pulled back.
Yeah.
I think they pulled back. I think Obama, and I think he really believed in leading from not leading. Well, I think he said this, leading from behind, which doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It's stupid. it's a stupid thing to say. You can't lead from behind.
Right.
So, but they believed in pulling America. He really believed, and I think that administration believed, and why we have a lot of issues with our politics in our country right now, is that America was a bad influence on the world. They bought into a lot of that bullshit that we're causing the problems in the world, and if we back off, these problems will work themselves out. Now, that's not happened.
Right, and I don't want to, because I agree with you. I disagree with them doing that, but I agree with what you're saying.
I think that's what they did.
Yeah, and but it's debatable, because coming into it, you can say, okay, well, we're poking the barrel over the world by sticking our fingers everywhere, so let's take several years and let's not poke anything.
Yeah.
Let's kind of see what happens.
Well, it got worse.
It got worse.
Shit went on fire. Russia's influence started really. Okay, hey, we have freedom here, so we can start. We can start poking things. Yes. Ooh. Saw what happened in Egypt.
Yeah.
And the argument I've tried to make with people I've talked to that are definitely more liberal leaning and think that we're causing a lot of the problems in the world. They buy into that. They buy into their professors' arguments in college.
Yes.
Because that's what they all say.
Exactly.
That's their number one thing. Yeah. We're too involved in other people's politics. We cause these problems. It's like, and when I explain it like this, some actually kind of get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got to understand, if we don't exert our influence in these, because we're not, as much as you think these countries around the world don't really affect us, you're wrong.
Right.
They do. And if we don't exert our influence and make sure we have some say in how governments make decisions in other countries, well, those decisions are going to directly impact us in our safety and our pocketbooks, all those things. It's going to directly impact. So what do you want? Do you want Russia and China and some of these malevolent actors on the world stage having say over what affects us here in this, or do you want us to exert our influence and have say with what affects us?
Right. And I'll say this, is I'm going to take North and South Korea as the prime for this.
Right.
Okay. I'm even going to take Hong Kong.
Okay.
Before it switched back to Chinese control from British control, because they're still the West, right?
Yeah.
So Western influence in Asia built Hong Kong and built South Korea.
Yeah.
Chinese influence built North Korea, Vietnam, Laos, built all of that. Debatable, but which one's better?
Yeah, I don't think there's a question.
You know, yeah. I mean, clearly, because
It's not a question at all.
before things switched in Hong Kong, they're all free. It's freedom. It's free commerce. It's open. I mean, taxes were
That's
ridiculous.
so crazy, that switch over.
That's so crazy, man.
How are things? I haven't even seen it, like an update on how.
It's
because I know it wasn't like a full on. Okay, boom, you're back in complete control. It was more.
It was a transition.
Gradual.
Yeah, but it was from the stories I hear from people over there, is it's basically the same. You just kind of have to watch your P's and Q's a little more. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
Your taxes are a little higher, kinda. It's different, but you're basically still free. You just gotta kind of watch.
China's a weird country.
Yeah,
because it's weird, and I think we're at fault for this a little bit, because I think of our approach with China was to try to open them up, thinking that without trying to change the regime, that simply capitalism alone would free up that country, would force liberty for people in that country.
Yeah.
And then, of course, did not happen.
No.
What all that did was China very smartly, you got to give their government a lot of credit, very smartly accepted the capitalism and put enough controls on it where they benefit financially from it without having to give up their communist control of their country. It's an interesting thing. And I think I think it would have been Nixon that started the thing with China, with the way it's turned out now, with the policy where trying to open it up to trade and stuff without trying to but still creating relationships with their government that aren't affecting. We're not directly trying to influence change in their government. Only open up their markets. Yeah. And I think it didn't work out so great.
Some additional freedoms to their people.
I mean, some,
just
but
not.
It's still it's still bad. Like China's still not a great place.
And so that's kind of thing. So it's like I just used that and made people were mad. South Korea and Hong Kong versus
talk about two completely talk about it's a huge argument right there.
I mean, that's
North Korea's extreme, but man, still, right? Vietnam is, I'm watching a really good documentary on Netflix right now about Vietnam. Freaking fantastic documentary.
Do you remember the name?
It's just come up, and it's basically the whole story of Vietnam basically it's the story of how we got into the situation we got into with Vietnam. And it goes back to where the French are running Vietnam, and then how that turns out. It actually goes back into Ho Chi Minh, his background, which is really interesting. There's a lot of stuff I didn't know there. Yeah. And it really discusses like the Chinese influence, the Russian influence, kind of the whole, that was a really big part of the Cold War going on right there. And how we ended up just getting sucked into it. And the funny part was Kennedy to Johnson was like, this is a bad idea. This is a bad idea, but we got to do something. This is a bad idea. Yeah. Like, it's like they knew the whole time it was a mistake. And even Ho Chi Minh was like, I don't want conflict with the United States. I don't want conflict. I just I want liberty for my people under this thing. He was a Marxist. He was very much a Marxist, loved Marxism. But I don't think he was I don't know. I'm not going to say this because I'm going based on the documentary. But basically, they were saying he was not trying to force conflict with the United States. Right. He just wanted his country to run under as a communist, but their version of liberty, because they had French colonial rule for 100 years.
It was a mixed government.
Right. So they're trying to just get freedom for themselves. And we just kind of got, it was so weird how we knew we didn't want to be there, but we just kept getting sucked into it with the whole, we can't let Soviet Union have more influence over another Asian country. But we don't want to fight with Ho Chi Minh. We don't want to fight with in Vietnam, but we can't let Soviets. It was and they have recordings of LBJ just saying, "This is where I don't know how we can win this. I don't know what else to do though. I don't know how we can end up in a good position here, but I don't know what else to do." It's really interesting. It's a great documentary. I think it was a PBS documentary, and I don't know how many episodes it is, but each episode is like 2 hours long. Okay. So it's very, very in depth.
I love that stuff.
Man. Oh, you'll love it.
Yeah.
You'll absolutely love it.
It's
very interesting.
Then there's another history one. The Great History. I'll look it up. I'll just shoot it to you. It's a podcast though. Yeah. Of all of Genghis Khan's rule.
You talk about hardcore history.
Hardcore history, yeah.
Man, I've yes.
So good.
History of the Mongols or something. I know what you're talking about. I would listen to that one. So great to see how that influenced the world today. Yeah. How that's influenced the world today. Influenced the Middle East. Yep. Influenced kind of started influencing Europe.
Because it was
fascinating.
Kind of democratic in some areas and kind of not. And kind
of, well, they were inclusive. As long as you would, I guess, kneel to the Khan, come on over. You can worship the way you want to worship. As long as you pay your taxes and we're inclusive. But you fight us, you're dead. Yeah. Everybody is dead. I think he said on that podcast, like Iraq, that whole area was, he even suggested that the problems in Iraq today stem from what Genghis Khan did to them then, with how much they absolutely just decimated.
I could see that.
Iraq. It makes histories. We think it's a long time ago.
It's not that long ago.
It's only a few generations, and honestly, in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. So, that was a great one. Hardcore histories are great.
Oh, he's good, man.
You gotta sit down because it's a good 5-6 hour podcast. Yeah. But man, he goes into some.
And he breaks them up, and anybody. I mean, I think it's like $3. Is that one? That's free. One of them you have to pay for.
Oh, I didn't. When it first came out, I didn't pay for it. So maybe he's doing that now. Okay. But when he first came out, it was just donations. Hey, send a donation because this takes a lot of time.
All his other stuff is done, but there's 1 or 2 series. I don't know if that was one of them.
He's got a lot of series out there.
Yeah, there's a couple you have to pay for, but the rest of them are.
That's so good.
Yeah, they're free.
I can't remember what that was called now, but it was so good. I listened to that one because Joe Rogan talked about it.
Oh, okay.
And I remember listening to that one on patrol. Like you drive around and I plug my phone in and would listen to podcasts. Yeah. And I kind of missed that a little bit. Not a lot, but just a little bit. Yeah, but I would listen to podcasts, and, man, I would just be so enraptured by these podcasts. Driving like, oh, my God. Yeah, that was a good
oh, I love it, man.
He was great. He was great.
Awesome. All right, you got to choke people, dude. It's time.
All right.
Yeah, that's how I keep trying to glance over, and I'm like, oh.
I'm nervous. Got to put that.
You better cinch it up, boy.
Yeah, we got ready to go today.
Take a little extra. Get you another Red Bull.
You think I'm kidding? I might.
You better be on freaking alert, man.
I might take Red Bull with pre-workout. I've done it. Hey, I've done it. You ever done it?
No.
You're not living till you do it.
I think I've had a Red Bull like once in my life.
Oh, come
Not
on.
that I'm against caffeine, but
take a risk. Come on, take a risk.
Well, I've had things that are probably worse, but
it's probably true. I don't know,
all
but
the
I have actually. I thought it was a bad idea, and then I saw Lisa do it. And I was like,
she can do it.
Fuck it. That's how much control I got. Fuck it. They did it. Terrible.
Yeah. Oh, so you're getting in trouble. You're late.
All right, man.
So, anybody watching, thank you. Hit us up if you want to be on the show. I've got some people.
I'll great.
Later, yeah. We won't mess with that. You got to go show people.
Fantastic. I'm excited.
Yeah. So, congrats to this dude, Mr. Black Belt, which is awesome. Love it. Yeah.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Like, for real, 100%. It means everything to me, and I've had a lot of people reach out to me through social media and stuff. Just a lot of really kind words. And man, it means so much. I've tried. Yeah. It was actually it's hard to get back to everybody and tell them how much I appreciate it. So if I haven't, Andy, you're listening, man, I super appreciate everybody. Like, it means a lot to me.
It's an honor, man. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, brother.
So we'll see you guys shortly.
Yes.
Right. Sometime.
All right, man.
All right. Peace. Let me close this.